Hi, everyone. Thought I'd have a little bit of fun with the opening today, a little Star Wars theme. Thank you for joining me here on the Audiophile Roundtable. I'm at 433 Carroll. We're at the Hi-Fi Center. Come down and see us in Vancouver if you want some great gear. Let's get to this. I want to get to my panel. If you guys want to see my panel, we can do that. And let's see who we have today. Whoa! You guys know them. Nathan Goss. You know Nathan by now. He's a regular here on our Wednesday. We've got Michael, Poetry on Plastic Johnson. Michael, thank you for joining me. Patrick, the Vinyl Archivist, thank you for joining me. We're going to swing and sway with Danny K today from Sonic Flare. Again, this is a big one today. I feel, I guess we're missing Mazzy, and this is Mazzy's little sort of crusade, but it's Premium Box Wars. Should the packaging be reduced? You guys saw the opening here. We're going to talk about that today. I know I want to start with, any news you might have, anything that's going on in the audiophile vinyl community as of Wednesday today before we really jump into the whole vinyl box set. You guys want to start with that? Any releases that you're anxious to talk about, or have you seen? And let me start because I did see this morning. I know Nathan doesn't give a crap at all. Michael is already bored, so he left. Wow. Tough crowd, man. Tough crowd. And I told Danny before we started that he's not allowed to do day trading any longer. So during our 1 hour. So, and then Patrick left as well. This has been a tough crowd. But I just noticed this today. We had the 50th anniversary of Pink Floyd's that. Look at this. You can buy the individual 50th anniversary remastered album as of today on the Pink Floyd website if you're interested. I'm not, but again, I've got too many copies, so I knew that was going to happen. So anyone rushing out to get the box set for $300, was it $300 and then more in the aftermarket? By the way, you can get the box set again. They've pressed more, so no big deal. Any other things you guys want to talk about? There's lots going on. Michael, you brought something there. What did you want?
Oh, well, you said if you're any new releases you're excited about, and I want to talk about this because it's probably not on anyone's radar. This just got released this summer, and I didn't even hear about it until 2 months after it got released. This is the first time ever on vinyl for the first album by the Japanese band L'Arc-en-Ciel. And these guys are actually really big. They played at Madison Square Gardens, and they've been covered by anyone from Vince Neil from Motley Crue to the soul band TLC have covered this band. And this is their debut album. And it's the first time it's ever been on vinyl, and it's got a new remastering.
That sounds pretty cool. I actually heard about that, and I saw the publicity around it, and I was wondering about it. Interesting that you have it. So it's good. You recommend it?
Yeah, it's much. I would say the mastering is much better than the CD version that came out in 1993. And they did a new remastering just for vinyl. So it's pretty cool. I'm happy to have it. It's hard to get. You have to import it from Japan, but.
Does it talk on the Japanese press? Do you see a lot of do we know who the mastering engineers are or anything like that? The Providence there? Does it really say
I know who the mastering engineer is, but I'd have to look it up. But this was, I think this was pressed at not Sony, the other major plant.
Patrick, what did you bring for news or fun or excitement?
Just a band that I got turned on to by John Bitbot Boom. They are Homefront, what they're called. Kind of punky, poppy. There was an EP, and this is a full length that came out this year, I think, or last year. Good stuff. Just not audiophile at all, but just good music. That's what I got.
Thank you, Nathan.
Oh, I don't really have anything other than, of course, the shipping finally on Hotel California, the MOFI one step, which was originally supposed to be like the third week of July, and so it's, I guess, the last week of August.
So you ordered that?
Has anyone got the new Cecil Taylor unit structures yet?
No.
No, I ordered that, and I thought I was going to get it yesterday, and they accidentally sent me a death metal album instead. one which I already had.
That is funny. Okay, so Danny, where'd Danny go? He's out training. Okay, so here's what I got this the other day.
Hang on, I'm here.
What are you doing?
I just had to catch something. So real quick, if I may intercede or
go.
Interject. So ironically enough, I never had this record, but I found an absolutely, truly mint copy of Sinead O'Connor's second album. This is the US release. I'm shocked at how mint this is. And you know what? The best part of it was I totally don't remember what the music sounded like. I mean, obviously I'm familiar with the music, but not what it sounded like. And I gotta say, this US Chrysalis record is freaking bonkers amazing. For a 1990 release, it sounds absolutely amazing. So anyway, go figure. I don't know if you guys have it. If you don't, prices are going up. Wonder why. And yeah, highly recommend it. The second Sinead O'Connor album.
But that's her top selling record, right?
Yeah, of course. Of
Yeah.
course. Yeah. I figured if I have one Sinead O'Connor record, this is the one I want. So boom.
Wow. Well, you scared me. You woke me up there. I go out to my local record stores around the downtown Vancouver. There's always stuff on the bins early in the morning because they process things overnight or on the weekend. So I got a couple things. But before I show you one. I was mentioning the Pink Floyd's 50th anniversary that came out in March of 1973. Now another album on the other opposite side of the spectrum that came out around the same time in March of 73 was Tom Waits' Closing Time. So I'm not sure. That was his debut album. It's actually probably my favorite Tom Waits album. They got Old 55 on there, which was also covered by the Eagles on the Eagles. I can't remember what Eagles album that was now. And I love that album, but it was It was basically recut for the 50th anniversary by Abbey Road Studios by Miles Scholl, 45 RPM, and he cut it hot. Okay. You can really hear the horns. He really cut this one hot, and he was able to, right? Because it was 2 discs, 45 RPM, half-speed mastered as well. So if you guys are a big Tom Waits fan and you want, something that I really it does sound really good. I did ask Miles who mastered it. He did not know, but I'm going to probably guess that it was the master from 2018 they used by a guy named Peter, I think it was Lyman, who would have mastered it originally in 2018. But I feel that Miles cut this one hot. It sounds really, really good, really dynamic. Really, really, I think a lot of large sound stage, and I wish I would have brought it today. But again, it's a wonderful record. And if you're a huge Tom Waits fan, you can't go wrong with it. That's for sure. You guys like Tom Waits? Mm-hmm. So pick it.
I've liked what I've listened to from him, but I'm not a big Tom Waits collector. I should get a couple of his records.
His originals are pretty pricey these days.
Yeah, I've got a lot of his Canadian originals, and I always get a kick out of it's the album Blue Valentine. I get a kick out of that one. I really enjoyed it. It's a little bit different, more of his more of that husky voice, but I just love that album. It just puts a smile on my face.
What are the big ones like? Is it Swordfish Trombones? That one's pretty popular.
Yeah, those ones are the Island years. He started his first 8 albums with Asylum Records, and then he went to Island for I think it was 3 or 4. And so if you can pre-order, they've remastered the Asylum records. I think it was remastered by Bernie Grundman and Chris Bellman, and those will be coming out in September. I've already pre-ordered those ones as well. So again, I'm a huge fan. So local records. So I thought this is really cool. Have a look at this 1969 Warner Reprise Songbook. Okay, this came out. It was a Canadian version. Came out in 1972. What's cool about it is that it's literally a songbook. So it talks about every single song they have, and it's like B sides of some of the artists. So, for instance, Wildman Fisher, who is a real person who lives in Hollywood, and Frank Zappa actually produced him. So I mean, he's on here. Jethro Tull, My Sunday Feelings. You've got who else? Van Morrison, a B track off of I think it was Astro Week's album. Neil Young, I've Been Waiting for You. So I thought that was really cool. It's a 2 LP, 33 RPM, 72. I thought it was fun. So yeah, that was my. Oh, and how much was it? If anyone asked me, this was $6 Canadian. So I don't know, fun little thing. Sort of listen to it a couple times and put it away. It's not bad. So let's get to it. Did we cover everything? Did
Probably
we cover?
not, but...
What else? Do you have anything else? It was probably so much to cover. I don't know.
Sure, something will come up in the middle of the show.
I haven't even looked at the comments yet. I've been too busy, with all this stuff. But again, what we're talking about today, I'll put it up. It's Premium Box Wars. I'm going to start with Nathan because Nathan has you have beef on this, Nathan, about the audiophile vinyl box sets, the MOFIs, analog productions? What's your take these days on all this? Like, where are we going with this in the future? Where do you see it going? It's your time to shine, my friend. Go for it.
I didn't know that there was beef. Honestly, I wasn't being sarcastic earlier. I didn't think that it was a big deal. Like for example, you got the UHQR of A Love Supreme that comes in this, right? And all you have to do is take this out of there. And if you want, you can just throw this away if it's that big of a deal. I don't really know that this much space is that precious to me. So, I mean, that's just one example of the box set. You could also do the same thing with the mobile fidelity, right? So you have this size, Eric Clapton. But if you don't like this, you can do what I do, which is display the box and then just take this out from the inside, and then you get a nice streamlined package that doesn't take up that much space. And you can put both of the LPs in here. And then I do like what Mobile Fidelity did with the 33. So I think that this actual size is actually kind of better. I don't know if there's a way to make this do like the 45 versions in this size packaging, but yeah. So I don't have an issue with the premium box sets. I mean, I think it makes it seem like it's a special purchase in some respects. And I guess the alternative is that you just get like a bare bones, premium title like the Electric Recording Company does. So, this is pretty much all you get once you take it out of the bricked cardboard and undo the really expensive, tissue paper that they wrap it in. And then this is what you're left with. So, I mean, to me, I'd much rather have a nice box that's worthy of displaying for the premium, prices that they're charging. I feel like there's a solution to the space issue.
So you're sort of pro the audiophile vinyl box. You're fine with it, the packaging, the added expense to it. You don't see it as a problem as a collector, as an audiophile enthusiast going forward? Do you feel that's going to hamper your, I guess, you buying based on the costs and whatnot? Or are you fine with everything?
No, I mean, I think, we want both good quality in both the product that you're listening to, but I think having it in a nice set also, is an enjoyable feature. Like I also like here's another example. So like the Sonny Rollins Go West, right? So I think this is one of the best sets released in 2023. It has the little Obi strip. This obviously adds +5 for sound quality. And then inside here, you get this nice deluxe little booklet that comes inside. And then, like I said, I display the box, and then I have the 3, LPs that came inside, on the shelf because here's the thing, it has to be accessible. Like I'm going to listen to stuff more if it's like accessible. So I don't like digging through the boxes to listen to stuff. So that's why I always display the box or put it somewhere else. So I guess if people have an issue with the box, you can always sell just the box by itself on eBay, or burn it, or put it in your attic, or, whatever. I mean,
I think the thing is, I think it's space. Maybe we talk about next generation buying records, and I mean the next generation, younger than myself or whatever, are more environmentally sort of conscious. This is a big problem from an environmental standpoint. If you're just going to take this box and throw it out or burn it, I mean, I'm being serious here, right? So you look at this about the growth of the industry and really making sure the younger generation, still carries forward with vinyl. I think this still needs to be addressed because it can be a big waste. In one of Chad's videos, he said that it's a $20 cost for the big box to add on to the UHQR, I believe. So, I mean, that could reduce the cost to everyone as well. I would rather just have it in, just like you said, just in a nice little, like the ERC type of look, or even the what was it, Vinyl Me Please, or even the Rhino High Fidelity stuff, the way they package that. the way to have that. I think that's the way to go for me personally. Patrick, what do you feel about all this?
I mean, part of me, I kind of like, I have behind me, I have up there, I have like 1-steps and UHQRs. I have a whole shelf of them. I kind of like how they pop and they stand out. But I mean, honestly, I have this. This isn't anything new. I mean, I have this Pink Floyd The Division Bell. Look how big this is. This was like one record. And a lot of extras. But this is pretty damn big for one record. So this isn't a new thing. And you know what? This is probably the worst packaging ever because it's impossible to display. This thing right here, this freaking metal canister. I mean, there have been crappy packaging forever. So I mean, all things must pass. There's 3 albums in here. One of them we don't really need because it's Apple Jam. But I mean, this was pretty big. You know what they should do? They should give you an option. You can sit there and tick a box and say, "Hey, I want the full blown. Give me the packaging, everything, or give me the stripped down. I'm going to call it the Mazzy box, the Mazzy package, where you just get the records normally, and shipped to you. And that way, there's no thing. Just check a box and say, okay, you can say 33 RPM, 45 RPM, or I want the deluxe, or I just want the generic. But some people do like to display this stuff. Because it looks cool, it pops. You can say, "Hey, look at," I mean, because part of the fun is like showing people what you have. I mean, let's be honest. I see record dealers that go to record shows that literally, bring in the same records every freaking year. They don't want to sell them. They want to talk about them. They want to show you what they got. Going, "Oh, look at all these blue notes I have that I have priced way too high that they'll never sell. But I want to show it to you because I want to show them off." People want to show this shit off. So that's how I feel.
Yeah, I know people that have stores set up like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Michael. Michael, your take on it, please.
I don't hate the box sets. I find them a little annoying. The least offensive to me are Chad's UHQRs because they're very user friendly. They're very easy, and also I kind of like that they're. I mean, most people know this by now, but these are modeled after the old Soraya series RCA living stereos. If anyone has any of those old Soraya box sets that were done in the 60s by RCA, the dowel design is exactly the same. So I get what he's trying to do. It's nice. I wish it wasn't so thick. It doesn't need to be this chunky. I think MOFI kind of had the right idea on the Thriller set. I think, this is special. It sticks out on your shelf, but it's not obnoxious. And it's a little easier to deal with. Despite the fact that I really don't like how this sounded, but that's just me. But some of this stuff is obnoxious. Like for instance, the special 45 RPM series. This is the Hugh Masekela Hope 45 RPM, and this thing barely fits in my IKEA shelving. I mean, it literally, I have to push it in because it rubs on the top. I mean, I don't know if that was necessary.
That's what she said.
But you compare, I have this really nice box set here. This is on EMI. This is the Anton Bruckner 9 Symphonies with Eugen Joachim. Wonderful set of recordings. Wonderful box set. This is 12 LPs. 12 LPs in here with a booklet.
Jeez.
And it's not as thick as my Hugh Masekela Hope box set, which is, I think, 6 LPs, I'm pretty sure. No, 4. I don't remember. No, 4 LPs. So that's my take. It's a little silly.
Don't you think that to a certain degree people are in the wrong hobby if they're worried about space, though? I mean, if I was a car collector and I had a 1-car garage and no driveway, I wouldn't be sitting there complaining hey, there's nowhere to put these things, And the same people that have an issue with the box sets will have 8 copies of Kind of Blue. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Maybe not.
That's why I said specifically my stance wasn't all that strong. I think it's silly. It's not necessarily that it's causing me any harm or any distress. I just think it's kind of unnecessary.
Mm-hmm.
Danny, stop shorting Twitter for a second and tell me your take. Or sorry, Twitter's not even public any longer. So it's X. So stop shorting Tesla and then tell us your take on your views on the big clumsy box sets.
So, my first thought is, and I kind of put my I guess my Apple hat on, and I think they all missed the boat by a big margin. I think they could have reinvented the concept of what a modern day box set should be like or is. And I think they all kind of went back to the old school of what was old, with as Michael was saying, with the I always thought it was Soria, not Soraya. So is it's Soraya? I guess. I guess
I have no idea. I've never heard anyone say it. I've only seen it written.
I thought it was Soria, the Soria series. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Don't ask me how to pronounce anything. I'm the worst. So
yeah, there you go. And so, they went back to late 1950s box set design for an era that is, 50 years ago, instead of, or MOFI. I mean, let's take a look, because I've got, the one of the Stevie Ray Vaughan. By the way, whoever picked the material to cover this in obviously never actually tested it or beta tested it or whatever, because the shit
it's awful
stuck on here, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
Right?
You have to wear white gloves.
There's no easy way to clean it. So anyway, so let's open it up and let's see what's inside, because I'm going to make a point here if you guys bear with me for a second. So the first thing I see is I got my little foam insert. Lovely. That's great.
Some more environmental problems right there.
Yeah, not sure what that's for, but okay. So then I go and I get the customary, it's not even a fold out or anything. It's just the quasi jacket cover with the, master recording thing on top. Okay, wonderful. So I get that. Okay. Then I get the marketing promotion of what an Ultra Disc one-step DSD record sounds like and how it's built.
Well, hold on though. That was before DSD was even right. Caught. Well, so they don't even have that they don't even have that there yet.
Yeah. So I get this little marketing thing. Okay, great. Nothing. I mean, whatever. All right. And then I get, LP1, and there it is. Obviously, you guys have all seen it. I'm just illustrating a point. And then I get my little white cover, and voila, I get the record. Okay, great. So box set. I mean, what value add did this box set produce? I would argue none. Zero. It doesn't add anything to the product from a product marketing perspective, where I'm thinking like, wow, I got something that is truly unique, right? I got a big heap of boxes, a ton of paper wasted. And again, going to that whole eco message thing, although, in the grand scheme of things, I'm really not concerned about MOFI printing 20,000 boxes of something. Whereas, when you look at, the telephone books that are still being sent around the world from a paper perspective. But let me make my point. So then I look at, Chad's box set is really the same thing, right? I mean, there's no value add in my opinion. Now, let me take a look at the Super Sense box. Okay, granted, it's much more expensive, but that is really more to do with the fact that it contains the lacquer as opposed to an actual LP. So let's take a look and see what this box actually does, right? So first of all, beautiful handmade paper, or I shouldn't say handmade, but put together by hand. You get this gorgeous embossed jacket that opens up, right? Then you get the actual record, and they did this clever little thing where the record itself is held onto the plate by this little metal ring that you screw on, right? This little cap that even says Super Sense on it. So that's kind of neat, right? I mean, you may or may not like that, whatever. It's different, okay? Then you get the goodies. So then you get, this happens to be the Nina Simone collection. So then you get into what you actually get as a value add for the box set, right? And I'm going to try to open this up. I should have done this before, but I didn't. I apologize. You get pictures, you get recording session documentation, you get anecdotal information. There is usually some kind of a hand-printed something or another in it. I mean, this is what I would call a premium box set where I feel like, okay, again, hear me out. Don't compare it price-wise because it's obviously two different product lines. But they actually took the time to think and reinvent the box set for a new generation. And that, to me, is what I think MOFI, Chad, Acoustic Sounds, all these guys missed the boat on. Instead of doing sitting down with a creative team and figuring, okay, what are we actually going to do for the consumer in 2022 or 2020 or whenever the One Steps were released? I guess it was 2018, 16, something like that.
2016.
2016. Yeah. Instead of sitting down with the creative team and being like, hey guys, let's leave the old out, right? I mean, again, take a look. So here's a copy of a printed letter from the Super Sense team, right? Then you get little lithographs of Nina Simone on a black cardboard stock, which, by the way, is all printed at Super Sense, and it's all hand printed with a press from like the 1850s, right? Then you get a nice printout of a song sheet, right? I mean,
like a dot matrix.
I'm just thinking, this to me is
her will included in there too?
Yes, and she gives it all to me. So this to me is a box set that has some kind of value add from the perspective of why are we even doing a box set? I mean, I guess the question that needs to be answered is, why are they doing a set like this? Like, what is the point of it?
Well, if there's really one album, if there's one album, is that really a box set? It's just really a single album in a box. It's not really to me, a box set is like some kind of anthology or some sort of, thing, at least multiple records, and not counting like 245 RPMs. I'm talking about, 2 or 3 singular albums that stand alone,
Fair point.
Yeah, but I guess one other criticism I have is not necessarily that I mean, because the box, I think some of the sizes of the boxes are a little silly, but that's I don't have a problem with it. I still put them on my shelves. But the idea that because most of these records that come in these sets are quite expensive, and I don't think you are getting what you're paying for with the extra box. Like, I don't think the box adds the extra. Chad says $20, but let's be realistic here. $50, the extra $50 that you're paying for in the box is to me not that much worth it. I mean, I wonder what the retail price would be of a double 45 record produced by Chad that uses the special press, the manual fine belt press he has, and pressed on that Quax vinyl. I wonder what the price of that would be released in a regular Stoughton jacket.
Yeah, but here's the thing, you guys. You're saying that they missed the boat, but like every single person this call bought their stuff. So I really don't think they missed the boat if all of us.
But they don't have a choice. I mean, if you want that record, you got to get all that shit with it. So
it's not going to stop me from buying something that I want. It's not going to stop me from buying something that I absolutely think that I have to have. But it will make me bitch about it. So.
It's almost like when you go to the car dealer and they have the car you want, but they're going to make you pay for the little logo in the center of the hubcap that spins, and that's $300, and you can't say no to it.
So Rod here, he hasn't watched our show very often. We are the ultimate in first world problems, Rod. So welcome to the show.
Yeah, we're not solving anything here.
No,
we're just,
definitely not. No. Definitely not. I know. I know there's a few comments about environmental stuff, but I mean, it does. I think Jason here said something about carbon footprint and all that. I mean, again, I'm going back to the fact that if you're not using it, why have it, right? If it's this big box that's never being used, I don't know. I mean, it does. I go for the sound of the album. I don't really care about the packaging. I really don't care. You could just have it. You could have it just in a normal, just like this. This is the greatest example of analog productions. I love these. This is the acoustic sound series, And I mean, this is I Put a Spell on You, Nina Simone. I mean, this is an incredible sounding album on the normal 180 vinyl, pressed by Chad at Acoustic Sounds. I think this was actually mastered by Ryan Smith, sorry. And it's incredible album. Incredible. And these are what, these are $45 or something like that. Incredible.
Yeah.
This is what I like to see. Right. And it's a gatefold. It's got the nice shiny, it's nice glossy gatefold. It's beautiful. And it's a good deal.
So wouldn't you guys agree though that on the UHQRs, if we just look at that exclusively, right? So the first one that came out was what? Axis Bold as Love, the Hendrix, right?
Yeah.
And the price and the price point I think was 99 or like $100, right?
Yeah, I thought it was 125. Yeah. I thought it was around there.
No,
I could be wrong.
I think whenever the first came out, I think they were at $100, and then they jumped up to 130 or 135, and now they're at 150, right?
Well, the very first one step in 2016 was $99.99 MOFI.
The one step or we're talking about the one step.
Yeah, I'm just saying. So I'm going back to the prices of 2016. Yeah. So I mean, everything's gone up. I mean, you remember though too. I mean, the packaging isn't, the vinyl with the oil prices and everything, and all that has really increased. Shipping costs have increased because of fuel prices. So there's a lot that goes into the actual 150 or whatever they're charging right now for these premium boxes.
Yeah, but I get the point I was trying to make though is I think they're at the top end of where they will ever be. I think honestly, if they go any higher than where they're currently at, they're going to be outpriced. People are not going to go for anything beyond where they're at. In my estimate.
I can see it going to 200. I can see him pushing it to 200. I can see if all these Steely Dans go, I could see depending on the title. If you did Led Zeppelin,
I was going to say
people would pay $200 for Led
Zeppelin. Zeppelin would be $200, and I don't think we need the entire catalog with those big boxes either. I would like it not to have. I like to be UHQR Clarity Vinyl Zeppelin, not boxed like that.
So here's like kind of a weird comparison, but just bear with me for a second. When VHS was king back in the day, right? We're talking the 80s and 90s. A brand new VHS of whatever movie was about $20. And that was kind of pricey at the time. Do you know how much VHS tapes were whenever they were phasing out? About the same amount of money. So all through their run, they were always around the same amount. Same with like Blu-ray discs and things like that. Like the jump, it's not like all of a sudden it's like $80 for like a Blu-ray title, right? Most of the titles are all competitively around the same thing. It's only in the music world that there's like these like premium titles that are 6, 8, 10, 20 times as much as any of the others.
New VH
would be $200. Yes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so you guys were in agreement that everyone would pay $200 for an UHQR Zeppelin box.
It would depend on who mastered it. It would depend on who mastered it and what tapes were used and all.
Well, I think it's gonna. If it was anything, it would be more like, okay, we'll use the old plates that Classic did.
Then it's a no go.
Well, I've got all the classics except for 2. So that
would be a non-starter for me.
So it would have to be
Patrick. I know Patrick really doesn't like the classics. I like some of them.
So what do you don't like about the classics? I mean, you don't like them as much as the Grunman remasters of 2016.
I can name you an original pressing that I prefer to every single classic version. So, I mean, but if you want to find a nice, a very clean, pristine, pressing, I mean, some of the stuff on the classic stuff is so muddy and dark to me that it's not even. It's really bad. Some of the stuff to me is not good at all, and that's just me. That's just my opinion. And if people love their classic and people like some of it, like that sound, I personally don't. So
I like 3, 4, and Houses of the Holy on classic.
3 is probably the best sounding of the whole group for sure. I mean, but
which is ironic because that record sounds like garbage in general.
The only one that I really like is the original UK Plum. That's the only one that I really truly find I can gravitate to, and I love Led Zeppelin 3. So for me, it's the UK Plum. But yeah, the classic is probably and the Canadian red label Atlantic, the original, the red label. That one
those are good too. Yeah. I don't know if it was last week, but I mean, in terms of sound quality, obviously UHQR, they're using mostly the 45 RPM, and so is the one steps. But I don't know if it was Nathan. Someone mentioned, I mean, it has a lot to do, obviously, too, with the production of the actual recording, the tape that was used at the time, which makes it a lot easier for the mastering engineer to then make it sound that much better. I don't know if we talked about that, but I mean, it does. I mean, getting back to it, depending on the one step, did they use 30 IPS? Did they use 15 IPS analog tape, right? I mean, basically, if you basically use 30-inch IPS tape, it's less noise, less speed instability, increased frequency response, that type of thing. And if it's cut at 45 RPM, there's more vinyl for the signal, right? For the what they call the noise ratio as well. So there is a lot of benefits. I mean, it all starts with the actual production, and then of course, with all the other things, the clarity of vinyl, everything else, the 45 RPM cut can make it sound great. So not every single album that's out there is going to sound amazing. I think the point being, the whole pretzel logic thing didn't work out as well. The consensus is that was rolled, the high ends were rolled off, and it didn't sound really good. So not every single recording is great. That's going to be interesting when Katie Lies comes out as the last Steely Dan to see see that one sounds like.
Yeah, because that one has the issues with the Dolby, right?
The DBX, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think I have the Citizen Dan CD box, and I think that one's pretty decent. That sounds pretty good. That the Katie Lied portion of that box set,
I have the Santa Maria Kendon white label promo Katie Lied, and then you have the songs that are off of that are on the Robert Ludwig greatest hits that sound pretty good.
Yeah,
that greatest hits set is pretty good.
Yeah,
I'd like to get a cleaner copy of it. Mine's the. Danny, you don't have the Steely Dan greatest hits?
Oh, I do. Yeah.
Robert Ludwig cut that, and it sounds really good.
Yeah.
That's the thing about Robert Ludwig. I mean, a lot of his work is going to stand the test of time as they reissue a lot of his old stuff. You know what I mean? Like you look at Nightfly that he cut in 1982. I mean, I think that stands up pretty comparably to the one step that MoFi did back in, was it 2018, 2017. So I mean,
I think his 70s and 80s work definitely will. I finally got the Ludwig cut of Rush Moving Pictures, and that it sounds incredible.
Yeah,
that is the one.
And I think Patrick, you're a Rush fan, right? You're a big Rush fan.
Huge Rush fan, yes.
So I've got a Canadian original of this one here. This is a Ludwig cut as well. Sounds fantastic.
One of my top 3 favorite Rush albums. Most people wouldn't admit to that, but I love that record.
And again, this was cut at Master Disc years back. So this is a Ludwig cut, and this is my original Canadian. It's a great.
A lot of the Canadians were cut at Master Disc, and some of the U.S. ones were cut at the Just Another Mastering facility. We'll get the Jam F pressings over here, and some of the Anthem cuts over here as well. So especially for Hemispheres and
Go figure. I moved to Maine, and Ludwig retires. I mean.
Well, he has not been doing the greatest cuts the last couple of years, though. I have some of his recent cuts. I was trying to dig them out.
The Queen albums were atrocious, but I don't.
He cut the Queen albums.
Yeah, he does. No, he does. He doesn't cut. He only masters now. He's not. He doesn't cut the lathe any longer, guys.
Sorry, not cutting. Mastering.
He's mastering, and then whoever cuts it, cuts it.
But the Queen mastering was awful.
Yeah,
he did a whole series with the various Yellow Magic Orchestra related artists. So he did the Yellow Magic Orchestra records. He remastered those digitally, and he also did the solo albums by some of the Ryuichi Sakamoto solo albums and some of the Yukihiro Takahashi solo albums. And I bought a lot of those, and I thought they sounded good. And then I started buying original pressings and realized the original pressings are way better, especially on the Yukihiro Takahashi albums.
Yeah. And Patrick, maybe you want to answer this one. Some of the DMM Rush cuts are outstanding, and I agree with that.
On their own, they do. I mean, I think me and Mark Kopernicki, maybe a couple of years ago, we had this thing called the Octagon, where we would compare the DMMs to an original. And so on the earlier stuff, the OGs, especially like the first album, the original just blew away the reissue, so much so that I sold my copy like the next day. I mean, I literally got rid of it. Mm-hmm. Now, once we get to the later ones like Power Windows and stuff like that, then it becomes more of an even keels kind of a thing. But yeah, the earlier stuff, I mean, I would say the DMMs aren't bad on their own, but if you can get an original of those, stick with those.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking more modern recordings, I think DMM's a perfectly good way to go about it. I have this one of the better sounding, like surprising albums I have is these Mineral reissues. If anyone's familiar with this band from Austin, Texas, they did reissues of their only 2 studio albums a couple years ago, and these were DMM cuts, and they sound awesome. I think if you're talking like 90s and upward rock and roll that was usually recorded digitally, DMM cuts are a great way to go.
Patrick, question for you there. Did Ludwig master the original Rush Moving Pictures
He was the original mastering engineer?
Yes, that's true.
One.
Yep.
But Permanent Waves, Ray Staff was the original mastering engineer in the UK at Trident.
Another great album that was released DMM originally in 1986 was Paul Simon's Graceland.
Interesting.
I don't know. I don't know who mastered that one now. I can't remember who mastered that one. I should know that, but anyways, yeah, it was
Stan Ricker. No,
it wasn't Stan Ricker. Someone knows. Someone can Google it, but yeah.
I don't know who originally cut Graceland.
Wouldn't the most eco-friendly, space-saving option be streaming? I mean, wouldn't that just save everybody's problems?
No, because you got data centers. What do you think those things?
Yeah, servers are energy hogs.
And you never know what quality you're going to get from what they're going to stream to you. You know, you're going to get a brick-walled master. What are you going to get?
Yeah, Doug Sachs, Vinyl Guy 62. I think you nailed it. It was Doug Sachs.
Did Sachs do Graceland?
I think so.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. I still think that's a great cut. I mean, I know Ryan K. Smith did the anniversary edition, but I still like my original. Yeah, I have both. So yeah. So in terms, I know we said the environment thing, but I mean the boxes do take up a lot of room. I mean, it is shelf space as well. I do the same as you, Nathan. I take them out of the box when I can, when I need more room, and then just store them elsewhere, which is a pain in the ass, right? So I'm buying Rubbermaid boxes to store empty One Step and UH Care boxes in it. I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, my wife thinks I'm crazy for doing that, right? They're like, why are you doing this, right? But yeah.
I just think the whole thing is like insane. Like all of us want 100,000 records and 1 million hours worth of music and songs, and then we're going to complain because it takes up space. I'm like, I don't know what to say.
That's why I'm switching to collecting model trains.
Can we get a tour of your model train room after?
Absolutely.
Oh my God, that'd be great. Wow. Yeah. So I don't know. Did you bring any? What do you guys listen to? And I wanted to show you one thing I thought is interesting. Now, I mean, some of these box sets are coming off. I mean, in terms of the overall price, I got this one. Does sound pretty good, but I mean, in 125, this is the MOFI Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
I think that was one of the better. That was one of the better One Steps they ever did.
Yeah. What are you talking about? Pretty good. That's, in my opinion, the best one.
I like. Okay, fine. I like Yes Fragile. I think that one actually.
I do as well.
Yes Fragile was phenomenal.
Phenomenal. Absolutely blew me away. This one's really good as well. But I'm saying for 125, this is in, pick it up on, aftermarket. What are these going for now? I mean, $60, $70, $80 if you're lucky.
Yeah.
So this
really the Blood, Sweat, and Tears is. Yeah.
So then when I was at my local record store here downtown, I'm like, okay, here we go. I found a clean copy for $10 Canadian, cut from the analog tapes. This is the super disc.
And it sounds fantastic.
And it sounds amazing. Again,
I've never heard a bad sounding copy of that record.
Yeah, I mean, this is good. I had to go and I washed it here. Here's me washing it because it was a little dirty, but still had a little bit of the vinyl was a little bit noisier, of course, than the One Step. But yeah, this is cut half speed. This is cut half speed from the original analog tapes. The Super Disc series. Yeah.
Try to find an original of that album that doesn't have ringware. That's the real holy grail. That is one of the most beat up records I've ever seen out and about.
I bought my original copy for $1 on the sidewalk of Broadway and on like 78th Street in New York City.
So Nathan, I want bringing up a couple of things you did, and I won't be able to read this because my screen. But this is Nathan in the Mobile Fidelity Sound Labs. This is the Facebook page that you do a lot of posting in. So if you guys, I don't know if you can read that there. Maybe Nathan, you see the article that I've posted, right? That's up there.
Yeah.
It's the Harold. Yeah. Okay. The Harold Vick stepping out. What was what's the synopsis? What's going on in that article that you wanted to talk about?
Well, I think the first thing is I've been seeing a lot of the tone poets coming down. Like I've seen good deals on those lately. If you're kind of shopping around, yeah. And that was one that happened to be, I think, on sale recently.
How much was that? How much was Stepping Out? It's a great album. I have this one too. How much?
Yeah,
was that?
like $19.99 is what I found it for. I've been on a Grant Green kick, so I've been trying to find him as either the main player or even as a side player on a lot of stuff recently. And so it's just a really good, I'm like I like bargain finds, I like finding like, a lot of bang for the buck. So I try to put things out there whenever I feel like, hey, this is something that maybe flew under the radar that you can easily get for, that's why I like the one we did last week where it was like, roundtable on a budget. So yeah. And those tone poets come in really nice. I mean, I think the jackets and everything are really nice on those. I think for the price, I think they're a good find.
So tell the viewer, sorry to interrupt you. I just thought of this here. You had an issue with something on one of these albums. I think it was this one here. What was the issue?
Yeah. I mean, out of all the ones that I own, it's the only one that doesn't have all the players on the inside. So like Grant Green is not pictured, but I didn't know if there was like more to that story. I know they try to find like the session photos whenever they're available, but it was just unusual because all the other Grant Green titles that I have, there's plenty of photos of him inside. So I didn't know if there was like more to like the story as to why his photo wasn't on that one. I didn't know if anyone knew, but it didn't sound like anyone was aware of any.
And this is the one where you were talking about. I think I pulled the right one.
Yep, it is. Yeah.
So he's not on that, but all the other tone poets, the main artist is on the inside cover. Is what you've experienced?
Right. Exactly. Yep. Usually the band leader is featured in a larger photo on the left, and then all the others are usually in the smaller squares on the right. So. Yep. But that's a great record. And like I said, if you can find a lot of these like sales that are going on, I mean, it's a good time to load up on those tone poet titles.
Fragile was Kevin Gray, by the way.
Well, he's asking. I did an audio shootout where I took clips of I think 4 or 5 different pressings, UK Plum, the MOFI, all that, and I level match them, the same song, all level. That's one thing. When people do these comparisons, you have to level match these things. If you don't make it, if they're louder or softer, it's not even a fair fight. And people just really don't understand. Oh, I don't care. I can just do the volume knob and do it by ear. No, you really have to have to level match them. And so I let people vote. And at the end of the day, most people voted for the UK Plum, but it all depends on how your system responds to my system and all that kind of stuff. So there are a lot of variables. It's more just a exercise in letting people hear the different pressings as it's done on my system, and it's just fun. I mean, like I said, if anybody enjoys what they enjoy and it differs from my opinion or anybody else's opinion, it doesn't matter. We're just giving opinions. It's not like, I'm saying, you suck because you don't like the one I like.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, I'm not buying the new White Stripes UHQR, but I'm really happy that something from 2003 is coming out. I think that's an amazing title. I'm happy about that. I don't begrudge anyone that gets it. I have got my AAA. I like it, and I can spend my money elsewhere. I can go and buy 10 records or 15 records for the same price Canadian as I'd pay for one record. So that's where I'm at right now. Getting back to the Rhino Fragile, Kevin Gray cut that. You can pick those ones up for $20-25 AAA now, right?
So that's also a Kevin Gray, Steve Hoffman. They did the original was a Kevin Gray Hoffman, I do believe, but it was on acoustic in like 20.
Yes.
So those are the same plates they're still using to this day, I would assume then, right?
I think he recut. No, I think Kevin Gray recut it later.
So that's a Kevin Gray recut. Okay, there you go. Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting. So yeah, that's a really good deal. But I think that's another thing too, right? The Fragile album was produced and recorded very well too, so that does help when you're listening to this record, right? I mean, that's
my original US.
Yeah.
Although there was a 45 RPM cut.
The Friday music one. The Friday music one, and it sounds better than anything else that I have, but it's still not great. I mean, it's an album that I think could really use a treatment. That's
one of the few Friday music records I have that actually sounds good.
Yeah, well, Kevin Gray did a few that were good and a few that were
bad,
Heart.
The
Heart was phenomenal.
records.
The best sounding Dreamboat Annie I've ever heard is that Friday Music by Kevin Gray. It's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal.
Well, I have to plug Canada for a second, because all the Heart albums were actually recorded here in Vancouver. Yes. Actually, just around the recording studio is just downtown from where I am right now, so that's pretty cool. And they were recorded really well. So I mean, any of the Heart albums, Michael, or I think depending on what you get, it sound great as well. There's some really good stuff out there.
Yeah.
So I was going to say, I have a couple things. I know we talked about some stuff that might need a repress. I'm a big Don Henley fan of his solo years. I think it's one of the better albums. I mean, these are cheap to buy. Again, this is another one that I got here in Vancouver. This is a $5 record in pretty damn good shape. And I mean, again, The Boys of Summer, right? Great song. Building the Perfect Beast, All She Wants to Do Is Dance, Sunset Grill. I mean, this came out in '84, and a lot of airplay in a lot of these tracks. So I mean,
did End of the Innocence come out after that or before that?
Which one? Sorry,
End of the Innocence, was that after?
So End of the Innocence was 1989, I think, or 1990, which is obviously
that record.
That's a great
Minute. What a great song.
New York Minute. So, I mean, Axl Rose is on that album as well, singing the song "How Bad Do You Want It" with Don Henley. Great album.
So when I was growing up in the 2000s, the version of Boys of Summer that was on the radio was by the Ataris, and they were covering Don Henley. Yep. And that was all over the place. And I had no idea that it was a cover. I thought that was an Atari song until one day I looked it up.
Well, and you guys know that this was actually, that Boys of Summer song was actually supposed to be a Tom Petty song.
Oh, really?
So Mike Campbell, the guitarist for Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, wrote that song, gave it to Tom, and Tom didn't like it, or didn't like the sound of it at the time. So he's like, okay, fine. He went and phoned up Don Henley, went to his house. They sat at the table. Don listened to the cassette, just sat there and just didn't say anything, and says, okay, I'll let you know. And then about an hour or two later, he calls Mike on the phone and says, I got something for you. And there were the lyrics for Boys of Summer. So that's how in a Coles Notes version, that's how it sort of came together. So it could have been a Tom Petty song. And so Tom Petty and Mike Campbell are sitting in the car listening to this song on the radio, and Tom's just shaking his head going, damn, this could have been my song, right? Because I'm one of the biggest songs of the 80s right there. That's a total 80s theme song, Boys of Summer, if you think about it. That just brings you back, especially because that's sort of, I was 13 years old at the time. That was a big radio play for sure.
The MOFI Gold CD is the one to get. That's like one of the best gold CDs they ever released.
You mentioned that before. I'm going to look at that one as well. So again, so Don Henley, that could be a nice reissue. I mean, that could be kind of cool. That's a Geffen, right? Geffen would have come up with that. So
I think the only MOFI Gold CD I have is the James Brown Live at the Apollo.
Supertramp Breakfast in America is fantastic. The original, not this DSD one that they did, but the one from the 90s is fantastic.
I like my US with a little trumpet, and in the Dead Wax, it's got the little trumpet in the Dead Wax. I can't remember who mastered that. That's another one that could probably use a nice audiophile reissue, because there's some mastering issues on those that I think are kind of wonky occasionally.
Who owns the rights? Who owns the rights to Crime of the Century right now?
Probably Roger Hodgson, I would imagine.
Well, both. I mean, both guys probably do.
The Speaker's Corners of that is fantastic, but
that costs you $300 now.
Yeah, it's $300 and something up, and I think there's not that many left. So yeah, I mean, it's
OOP.
Expensive.
I do love the Speaker's Corner. I have that one, and the Speaker's Corner of Yellow Brick Road, another $300 record that sounds phenomenal. So
crazy.
Well, I'm sorry, Andy doesn't want a Don Henley reissue, but I mean, again, that's the thing. I think what we're consistent today in our chat for the biggest first world problems in the history of first world problems today, where I think everyone, it's subjective. The sound subjective, music subjective, what we're playing it on, our gear, everything's subjective to us, and not everyone's gonna have the same opinion. So this is what makes it fun. These are fun first world problems. I mean, why we're having fun doing it. It's been great. What do you got there, Michael?
Patrick brought up Yellow Brick Road, so I had to pull this because not many people know this record exists. Does anyone recognize this?
Oh yeah,
the DCC of the Greatest Hits.
The DCC Elton John Greatest Hits. This is the best sounding Elton John record I've ever heard, and honestly, unless you're a diehard fan, it's probably the only one you need.
Steve Hoffman.
And that's Hoffman.
Yep.
Yeah, DCC Compact Classics.
That's a good one.
It sounds incredible.
I have, is it, I think I have the Nautilus version of that cut. I think it was cut, I want to say it was cut half speed, the Nautilus version.
They did that greatest hits. They also did the two Linda Ronstadt greatest hits, which is really great. The DCC of those two is awesome. They also did the original Masters by Jethro Tull. So the two Linda Ronstats, which were done at the Mastering Lab by Dead Saxon and sound great all alone. But the Kevin Gray, Steve Hoffman of the Linda Ronstadt two greatest hits sounds phenomenal. Absolutely.
Yeah. And when you do that, and then you compare it to that atrocity heart-shaped wheel that MoFi released, you're like, what the heck went wrong here?
Yeah,
I would agree. Someone said about the Auto Fidelity, Kate Bush. Kate Bush Hounds. I don't have Sensual, but I do have Hounds of Love, and I thought that sounded great, cut by Kevin Gray, as did the Sade. What the hell's the name of the album? I can't remember. The one that has like
Diamond Life.
Yeah, Diamond Life. The Auto Fidelity is amazing. Absolutely.
Yep.
Here's Hoffman also did Madman Across the Water too.
Got that one. That sounds great.
Yeah.
But the original DJM sounds great too. It's a translucent vinyl.
DCC did Hotel California. You can pick that up. They're about $100 right now for that CD as well.
One right behind that Buckingham Nicks.
Yeah. Oh, Michael's got something else.
If you want a really good sounding Kate, no one knows about this. Well, a few people do, but if you want a really good sounding Kate Bush album that has Running Up That Hill on it, this compilation album they released in the UK, Kate Bush, The Whole Story. This sounds really good. Does anyone have this?
No, I don't have that.
Yeah, so this has, and what's cool is on side 2, it has Running Up That Hill as the first track. And so it actually has the groups have room on that. It sounds really punchy and dynamic. And you can get this for, you can get this for like, I think I paid like $30 for this.
We're being stalked by Mazzy.
Uh-oh. There's your DCC Hotel California. Sealed, by the way.
You've never played it before. Come on, Patrick.
It's not.
There's not a.
Somebody wanted me to find them a copy sealed, and I did. It's going.
So how much? Tell viewers how much a sealed copy that would go for a DCC Hoffman.
That cost that guy $400.
Yeah. Yikes.
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing. We have Hotel California coming out. I guess it's being shipped. MoFi shipping the one step. Did anyone purchase it?
Nope. It's coming. I got my shipping notice.
Oh, Danny did. Okay.
I have a policy against paying money for the Eagles.
Again, man, very well produced band. You know, some of the originals sound great. So I mean, I have the Hotel California 2009 Bernie Grunman cut. Sounds good to me.
So there is the original on Columbia Santa Maria that was cut by Lee Holka. Sounds very, very good. Very, very, very good. And I have the DCC. I have an open copy DCC of my own.
So that's a good idea. So if you guys don't want your boxes, I will text everyone Mazzy's address in Seattle, and you can send them all to Mazzy. He would be more than happy to take your boxes.
And if you don't want to dox Mazzy, you can send them to me, and I will send them to Mazzy. So we don't have to dox Mazzy, and
Yeah.
He's in Seattle, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, there's plenty of tent cities in Seattle. We could just start Box City, like right next to Tent City.
Well, no, but the Box City, that might be good for the winter time when it gets colder. They can use the boxes to warm up in the little fire pits.
Yeah.
Well, Michael built an IKEA wall behind him. We can build a UHQR wall. So.
Nice.
You've heard of Stephen King's fire starter. We now have Audiophile Vinyl Box fire starters.
So Mazzy, why weren't you on this panel? This is your crusade. This is your passion. So
Mazzy,
he cares way more than us.
Mazzy's busy on Wednesdays, and I should say
clearly.
Oh, no, he says he's busy. I don't know. He's a busy guy.
The whole thing would be dominated by Beatles, so it's kind of.
No, it doesn't. Well, I will say we're gonna leave it at this, but I will say I'm gonna plug Friday's show because I want you guys to all, because this is more, Wednesday we've got different guests in on Friday. Friday we're gonna have Kevin Gray along with Mike Ingroove Esposito, myself obviously, Melinda Murphy will join, and Tim University of Vinyl with, of course, Mazzy.
It's an interesting group.
I think it's going to be very interesting. And I have a few topics in mind. I haven't texted anyone yet the topics, but I told them I wanted to get through today's show and then we'll get on to Fridays. But if you guys are available 1 o'clock Friday, watch the show. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be fun because I got questions to ask of Mike Ingroove as a record store owner. And of course, we'll have lots of questions for Kevin, and I'm sure our viewers will be asking a lot of questions in the comment section. So yeah. Anyways, guys,
you'll have to ask him about his new listening room, because I've heard that thing and he treated that really well.
You're talking Mike from Ingroove?
Yes, Mike at the Ingroove, because he's a gear dealer. People don't realize this, and he assembled a really great listening room with great sound treatments.
Yeah.
Could you ask Kevin if he's ever been approached about doing the Yes album? Just if you remember, just ask him that for me.
The which one?
If he's ever been approached about doing the Yes album. If he's ever been approached.
Okay. Well, I mean, if you're you can also, if I forget, just put it in the comments if you're able to on Friday, if you're able to watch. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that. We got to go. Thanks, guys. Really awesome show today, of course. Really, really thank you so much. Have a good one.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.